William from Girls Entertainment asks, can you talk a little bit about your attraction to projects like Prince of Persia, Blood Rain, and Thunderbirds that typically are a little slightly away from your usual repertoire of more realistic and often dramatic films?
William, I don't think I'm doing anything a disservice, but when you are asked by the king of family entertainment, you can't say no, and you know that it's going to be so refined, it's going to be so targeted, and it's going to have a message. Now, the message of this film is to do with the breakup and disintegration of a family through sibling rivalry and envy, and the rebuilding of that family. So, for me, it was a seamless jump to go from Martin Scorsese's set on Shutter Island to Jerry Bruckheimer and Mike Newell's set on this, because this film, yes, it's exciting, yes, it's thrilling, yes, it's an action-packed drama, but it's character-driven. And it's the character-driven aspect of this film that, to be honest, has elevated it into a dramatic realm that I'm very happy in. I love being in this film because it gives actors a great opportunity to delve into their characters and their cracks and their flaws.
Well, as a follow-up to that, given that you had such a storied career, how hard is it for you to craft new characters in new movies and always make them fresh?
Well, it's my job to one, if I can't surprise myself, I can't surprise my director and my fellow actors, and therefore the audience. So my quest is to surprise myself. Maybe it's a little bit like a mountaineer, always looking for a particularly dangerous mountain that maybe others have climbed before, but not me. So I see myself as a bit of an explorer, a bit of a hunter, and I'm always hunting for new opportunities and keep them fresh.
Which do you enjoy playing more, a villain or a good guy? That's from Avi at NewYorkCityMovieGuru.com.
Well, I believe that there's good and bad in all of us, and I believe that there's a light side and a dark side. So what I find fascinating and enjoyable is playing the balance. In the recent movies I've done, what I have to do as an actor is to be unafraid of whether the audience like me or not. I've got to be indifferent to that. I've got to tell the story. So I know that there have been twists and turns in recent films I've done, Shutter Island, Elegy, beautiful films that I've done recently, and this one, of course, where I'm not afraid of whether the audience like me or not. That's not the point. As long as they focus on the character and see his journey through the film, that for me is thrilling, to tell that story, that unique destiny through that film.
This is from James at MSN Movies. Looking past the makeup and the costuming, did playing Nizam let you tap into some of your theatrical and stage experience?
Playing Nizam, I must be honest, allowed me to tap, and I didn't slosh it around the film set in some grand manner. I kept it a little bit to myself, but there is, now this is our secret, okay? But there is something Shakespearean about Nizam. And you know, I did 15 years in classical theatre before I did Ghandi, and I did a lot of Shakespeare. And the brilliant thing about his guys, his characters, is that there's a man, and then there are layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of magic stuff behind that man. And as you say, behind the costume, which is magnificent, and the look, is a man eaten up by such destructive forces, presented as the most polite and helpful man in the world. So, yep, theatre I tapped into, and even Shakespeare for this film.
This comes from Steve at Collider.com. Did you always want to be in a big Walt Disney spectacle movie for Jerry Bruckheimer? If so, did you have any kind of favorite Bruckheimer films that you can remember?
Steve, it goes back further than that. When I was a child, and we had Disney on our television sets in England, and when I heard "When You Wish Upon a Star," I was so choked up. I mean, it still does it for me. That signature tune, that magic castle, and that whole Disney logo, I find so beautiful, so pure. So it means everything about family entertainment and my childhood being transported. So it's like a wheel going full circle. It's a privilege to be in the best of the best, which is that great Disney experience.
What elements did you draw on to create your character, and were there any kind of real life historical figures or people that you knew that you drew upon or did the inspiration come strictly from the script?
Fortunately, I don't know anyone like Nizam. But I know that there is such a thing as sibling rivalry, that brothers can be extremely jealous of other brothers. Fortunately, my children do not suffer from that. There are historical precedents where you do see people who have bizarre ambitions, dangerous ambitions, to do something with the world, and when they get the equipment to do that with, the means to do that, they use it, and it's disastrous. So the worst person in the world to get hold of that dagger is Nizam. And there are historical figures who've got hold of some technology, and they have unleashed their mad fantasies. And I'm talking quite recent history, and it's been horrific. So I look at history, and I look at the realities of history and what it teaches us, and I do see Nizams in recent history.
You've spoken of some commonality stories and the threads of dramatic elements such as families coming apart and such. When you move away from the next role, what stories do you personally find appealing?
When I move away from this role in particular, you mean?
Yeah.
I do think that here's the paradox. This is a family movie. There will be families sitting down to watch this together. And the great thing about families sitting down and watching this together is that it's one of the few things that families do together anymore, is they go to the movies. And as a family sitting down and watching the threat to a family, and then and then the rebuilding of that family unit through trust and faith and experience is going to be a very, very interesting experience.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have with you today, but thank you for joining us. And again, everyone, we'll be back with Jake in just a couple of minutes now.
Thank you.